Hello everyone, today I read the book Think and Grow Rich, the chapter 8, Decision, the master of procrastination, the seventh step toward the riches. I created an analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure. Disclosed the fact that lack of decision was near the head of the list, the 20 major causes of failure. This is no mere statement of theory, it is a fact. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is common enemy which practically every man must conquer. You will have the opportunity to destine in your capacity to rush quick and definite decisions when you finish reading the book and are ready to begin putting interaction the principles which it describes. Analysis of several hundred peoples who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million making mark disclosed the fact and everyone they had the habit of rationing decisions promptly and who changed these descriptions slowly if they were challenged. The people who fail to accumulate money without discretion and have the habit of rationing decision if at well, every slowly on the shanding of the season quick and often. The one of in efforts and reward most outstanding qualities to have to ration in decisions quick and definitely and changing them slowly. This quality is so pronunciation in Mr. Ford it was if he was given him a reputation of being obsession, it was quality which they prompted Mr. Ford to continue to manufacture the famous Model T, the world's youngest car. When now the versions and many of the Porsches of the car were organ in to challenge it. Apparently, Mr. Ford delayed it too long in making the challenge, but other sides of the story that Mr. Ford from his decision without hung fortune before the change in model became necessary. There is the boat little the boat. Mr. Ford's ability to define decisions assumes the proportion of obstinacy, but this quality disappearance choose loneliness and rational decisions and quicks and the chanting of them. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money suffice for their needs were generally easily influenced by the options of others. They permit new peppers under the glossing and the borns to think for when think for when opinions were shaped as commodities in earth. Everyone was flock opinions already to be winced upon anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by options when you rush decisions, if you not success in understanding the much less in the dating of transmuting your own desire into money. If you influence by the opinions of others, you will have no desire of you one keeping your conscience well when you're big on the put into participant principles described here pay ration in your decision and follow them. Taking take you on intro. Your confidence expands the members of your mastermind. The group to every certain and selection group in your chosen only unfroze who will be complete sympathy and the harmony with your purpose. The close friends and the relations while willing to so often handicap anyone from the opinions and something and throw ridiculously. We should mean to be humorous. Thousands of men and women carrying inferior complexity with the burden on life because someone well-meaning but ignorant person destroying your confidence in the through opinions or ridiculously. In your have a brain, you have a brain, and the mind of your one. Use it, and the rest in your own decision. If you need facts in your information for other people's, to enable you to rush decisions in your probably will and money in crisis that crisis in fact in your security information and you need quickly without disclosing your proposal. It is characters of people who you have but smarting in the urban technology in your try to give the impression to have much knowledge. And the people just too much talking and too little listening. Too much talking and too little listening. Keeping your eyes and ears wide open, your mouth closed. You wish to acquire the aptitude of prompt decision. Those who talking too much little else. If you talking in the mortal listening, you're depriving yourself of many opportunities. You accumulating the useful knowledge, but you also disclosing your plans and proposals to people who will take in great delight and defend to you because in they if you remember also that every time you open your mouth in your presence of person who has abundance of knowledge, you display in your person your exactly stock and knowledge your lack, and the genuine wisdom and using conception of own modesty and silence. Keep in mind the fact every person with whom associated and liking yourself, seek the opportunity, accumulate money. If you talk about your plans, you're freely. If you're maybe supposing you're learning someone else's persons, your goal putting new interaction has your the plans of wishing you talking in listened. Let me one your first decision be keeping and closing your open ears and eyes. Was reminder yourself to follow and describe you helpful and you copy the following epigram and the large letters and the place in here you will see daily. Tell the word that you intended to do the but first show it. It is the equivalent of saying deeds and not words and were common most. The value of freedom or death on a decision. The value of decision depends on your open courage, requiring and your requiring down. The great decisions which severed the foundation of civilization wretched your assimilation great risks, which often open the possibility of death. Lincoln decision to ensue of this famous proclamation of emancipation, which gave freedom and the colored people of America, was required with full underst- understanding that is actually what your thousands of friends and the political properties again when he knew too that carrying for the proclamation hold when deafened thousands of men on the battlefield. And the end of the coast Lincoln his life, that required the courage. Socrates' decision to drink the cup of poison written, the compromise his personal belief and was discretion of courage. In the turn of the time and the head and the 1,000 years and the gave and the two peoples and the unborn and the right to freedom of full on the throat and the speech. The decision of Grand Robert E. Lee when he came in the party this the way with the Union on the talk up the keys of South was decision of courage for welcome you in your mind. His is the in one life that you will throw certainly cost the life of no others. But the greatest decisions of the all time, the throw an American citizen, this concried the ration in Philadelphia in July for 1775, the when the 56 men signating your names a document and the when welcome you and hope bragging friend of our Americans and the living the every on the 56 hungry front of gallows. You have an award of famous documents almost around the front, the gratulation personal acquiring the so plain to fraud. We all remember the date of the almost decision the both feel realize the courage and doubt is crising required. Remember on your story heads thousand we remember dates and the names of the man who fraud remember Valley fraud you know remember George Washington the Lord Cornwallis, but you know little of the real force back and the names, dates, and the places. You knows two laces and the intangible power, which includes the freedom along before Washington armies and rationing in Yorktown. We read in the history evolution falsely imagining that George Washington was the father in your country that was who won the freedom while the truth is Washington was only a question after fact because the victory of armies and being insurgent long before the large Cornwallis and surrendered. This young this is not in the Ruby Rushton of the end of the glory so reaching merited disproportionate Russian your given ration and your astounding power that was real cause of the victory is nothing short of a tragedy of the the writers of the history have the message and the Charlie, even the sling test, the reference, the responsibility power you gave burden and this dependence of people earth. I say the tragedy because in the self same. The power which the must be used to every individual whole sermons of difficulties of life and the forced life to pay and the Pratten Skyland of the Bringley gave the bird gave the bird the power and the storm begins an accident in Boston March 5, 1717, British soldiers here the patrolling the streets and the presence openly. The enemy citizen, the commons and recognized armed when marshalling their mist. They began to express they rested openly in war stones, well as epithets in the machining soldiers, we commanded the officer and gave a order fixed by the church. The battle was won, and resulted the death and injury of many. The accident aroused social resentment, and that provincial assembly, made up of provincial colonies, called a mailing of the proposal of talking defining our action. Two of the members in the assembly were John Hawke and Samuel Adams, long life and their names. They spoke up courageously, and the crowd the movement that must be made in ejecting all British soldiers from Boston. Remember this: a decision is the minds of two men, and might properly be called beginneth the freedom which we of the United States know enjoy. Remember two of the season this main killed of fate and courage because in dangers. Before the assembly, Engineer Samuel Welders was upon the calendar of the governor of the province, the Hutchinson, and demanded the withdrawal with all the bursting stops. Request was granted the troops and removing them from Boston, but in inclined was closed with the causing situation describing the challenge included the civilization state and the whole great challenge in the American Revolution and the World War often have their beginnings the circumstance with Sam's importance. Each was increasing the also observing the important challenge usually begin in the front of the final decision. Alright. The final decision. In the minds are relatively small number of people, the few ones you know history and the country you know to realize that John Hawke and Samuel Weldon and the Richard Henry Lee of the province of Virginia were Harry Harry the hero fathers of the country. Richard Henry Lee became an important factor in the history recension. The faction that Samuel Adams continued friendly and sharpening fairly fierce under Hopen's circling and the Elfade and the people's their province. From the practically stone confidence idea, the mutual challenge of leaders between the 13 colonies with the help of to bring above the coordination of the effort so badly needed in condition with the solution to the problems. 2 years after the clash with the soldiers in Boston, March 17 Adams presented the idea the assembly of from the motion on correspondence community from be established among the colonies with defined appropriately corresponds in each colony for the proposed or friendly operation for the betterment of the colonies British of American Mark Railways incident. It was beginnings of the organization and the far flowing important described and give freedom to you and to me. The mastermind and the already began beyond organization the constitutionally unhawk. Tell your father and you too and grin upon early consequence anything for which you ask. It will come from my father who was I heaven. The committee correspondence was organized observing the move providence in a way for increasing the power of the masterminds be addicting and a man from the colonies take nonsense and the problems destroy and the first organization planning of disgrace colonies. And the one strange. The citizen colonies and have been making colonies warfare warfare against bring soldiers for a stand similar to Boston revolt. About nothing but and they were accumulated. Their individual increasing being included master, no group individuals had to pull and be souls and the boulders together and they find the sizzles to slit in difficult with the bridge once and of how any will Adams unhawk and the Lee go together. In the meanwhile, the Britain were to not easy. They do were doing the planning and the master meeting in your coding with the advance of heaven and the back of the money and the organization soldiery. The crown appointment gave Gage to comply the wish of the son and govern Massachusetts and one held the governation first enacting the messenger to Cal and Samuel Adams for purpose and the endeavoring to stop and his opposition be fear. We can best understand the spirit what happened in the conversation between Cole, Fitton, the message of B. Gage and Adams. Cole Fitton. Cole Fitton say, I have been authorized the governator, and given assure you, Mr. Adams, the governator has been employing the conference to confer upon such benefice any hope is satisfactory and ever and the promise upon the conditions he engaged in the Christ in the position to ministry governance. It's the governation advancing your sir, not to forward this place in majesties. Your condition in being in the such make and the penalties if you act and he be the persons of England for trial, section B for trial and misprision of three discretion of the governation and province, but B change your political course. You will receive great personal advantage, but you will make in your place in with the king. Samuel Adams had the choice of two decisions and could create the opposition on his rivals and the personal drives and your continue and run risk of being hanged. Clearly, of the time and the add-ons, the force and the decisions which could have caused life. The majority of the hood gave and hold heaven folded and the folds gave and the holds have and sent back in the adversary her prize and the boots the Adams. He stands in open call. Phantom's words honor that the colonel and the delivery the governor the answer exactly what Adams would give it when him Adam's answer. When you made the tell governor gauge that I trust I have a long silence made my peace, wish the King of Kings, no personal consideration and shall induce the abandon the Russian cause in the country. And the tell governor to engage in it is the advance of Samuel Adams to him. No, no longer to insult the feelings and spice the people. Comment was character and his man sings. Unnecessary, unnecessary. It must be obvious to our read and understand the message of that you send a position all only of the highest order. This is important. The governor gauge receives Adam acoustic reply, the flail, and the rage and the swing the proclamation which read, I do happy and this majesty name, often promising the most gracious pardon the all persons with the 40 the shall who shall 40 lay down arms and return the duties of the placeable adjectives exemplary on the own front benefit and you pardon Samuel Adams and John Hancock. Froze often are true flirtation to naturally admit in your other consideration, but that you condition punishment. I was on mind say, isn't wonders like Adams and Hancock were in the spot and the governation forced the to rush another decision equality and dangers. Way Horred called secret milling and the followers after meeting had been called. The other Adams locked the door, placed the key in the packet, and informed our president he was involvement the Congress of the colonies be organized, organized and that no man should live in the wrong until the decretion for such and Congress had been reached. Great. The excitement followed, someone waiting the possibility consequence in the such radicalism and so expressively grave doubled as to T Windows define description. Alright. Windows of the description and the fade man crown looking around. Two men in cumulative fear bring possibility failure. Hancock and the Adams fraud the influence the corresponds and the commodity arranged should be made a million first continental congress to be held Philadelphia September 5 and 1775. Right. Uh, I'm stopped here. Uh, I practice in English every day. Alright, thank you for listening.